Okay, so just something I want to throw out there real quick because I don't actually agree with or disagree with Shan, but this is what I'll say. And in most cases, it's typically not a pump and dump because those dudes will, I'd assume, ask for some type of paternity test. It's the situations where you're with this chick for 3 or 4 years and she got pregnant, and like you don't have as a man when there's really no reason for you to question it because you like, for example, why would I question my wife if my kid is mine? You know what I'm saying? Why would I do that? Like that to me doesn't even make logical sense because then I chose the wrong woman
So
to
so let me
marry.
so
So
let me
I understand about getting a requesting a paternity test. I do. I get it. I really
but
do.
let me just tell
But
you this: even if you do a paternity test and you married, that baby gonna be yours because by the state of law, if she's pregnant and you're married to her, that kid is automatically yours. Period.
except in Tennessee, or is it Kentucky? It's one of those states. That law just changed. But anyway, but what I'm saying is, why would I question it
But you
in those type of scenarios? I get questioning the random chick I may have bust down 3 times. I get questioning that. That makes sense to me.
Mhm.
But what doesn't make sense to me is me thinking that we are in a committed long-term relationship and you got pregnant and the baby not be mine. That's where the the woman is really foul. Now, on the other hand, men, this is what I actually advocate, by the way. Don't move in with a woman. Don't do any of don't have her move in with you. Don't impregnate her. Don't drop your seed in her until y'all get married, until you've done the proper vetting. Until you've done all of that, keep her as your girlfriend and don't do that stupid shit like dropping your seed off. Don't do that. Don't
And,
do that.
and let me make it very clear. I'm telling you that there are trifling women out there. I'm just telling you a way that you can protect yourself so that you don't have to be involved in the foolery. Just protect yourself. Get that test. If I'm gonna tell you now, God forbid my son ever brought home a kid that was unexpected. It is not. He can blame it on his mama. My mama is requiring me to get a paternity test. Because we're not doing that.
If your son came home and he said he had a baby and he dropped out of school so he could take care of the
You
baby
gonna do that?
and he raised him for 10 years to find out that it wasn't his kid. What do you think the response to that should be?
Oh, that wouldn't be my son. Do you want me to look at from a view of somebody else?
Yeah, not your son directly. I'm just saying, like, I want it to be personal, not your actual son, but imaginary son, your imaginary son. How
Okay.
would you feel about that?
You say
What do you
your
think the repercussions to her should be?
I don't know. I look at the situation as being a realistic situation for me. If I had a kid and there was a child that I had grown attached to for 10 years as a grandparent, I don't really know that I could even separate myself from this. I know she's trifling. We're gonna look at her as trifling, but I'm able to remove myself from the parent and the kid. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, I'm the grandmother of this child. I've been 10 years is a long time to grow a connection with a child. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I'm also a person who doesn't mind adoption. Some people don't have adoptive spirit in them. I'm that person. I teach kids for a living, so I'm just a different person to ask. Yes, I think that she's trifling in the situation, but at this point, I have an attachment to the kid. And I can't just throw 10 years of this kid, my relationship, my memories with this kid because their mama is trifling. Because guess what's gonna happen? She's gonna take the kid away from me, and I'm gonna be wondering, is the kid okay? Because that's what as a mom, that's what I do. I've already got the attachment. It's too late. So I would hope that you would just figure that out because it doesn't just hurt him, it hurts the entire family, especially if the family was close to the kid, right? So I would say the sooner, and that's why I advocate, that's why I'm telling you, the sooner when you find out she's pregnant, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna support you, blah 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 blah, because it's my kid, right? But we're gonna make sure it's my kid. You got to make sure it's your child and move forward from there. Start from the beginning. Boop. Don't waste no time.
Same scenario.
I'm gonna have to defer to my husband because, like Shan, it would be an emotional decision. Like I don't think I would be in the headspace to make a smart decision. So my husband's just gonna have to be the one to call the shot. I don't think I could do it.
You said you don't think you could continue, or you don't think you could separate from the kid, is what you're saying.
I don't think I could make a decision, is what I'm saying, because I'm emotionally invested in the child. Even understanding that she did what she did, I'm also invested in my child. Like I would have no idea what the right call would be, and I'd have to trust my husband's decision.
What do you think the penalty for her should be for that?
She going to hell. That's a good penalty.
I mean, there's that, but she's definitely gonna have to pay some damages. You have to figure something out. Like if Mariah Carey could sue her ex for wasting her time, I think we could find a way to get my son some payback.
Wait a minute, she sued her ex for wasting her time.
Mm-hmm.
What? She sued
and she kept the ring. Yep. So if she could do that, we could find a way to get my child compensated. Yep.
That's hilarious.
Now,
Well, shit, we out here. Who wasting my time? Let me see who I can sue.
yeah, I want to go back to what AP was saying. His thought process was, it seems like if he chose a woman, there's no real reason to feel like she should do anything that would jeopardize the kid. That sounds like something about similar to what he was saying. Now, that's a very idealistic way to look at this, because in reality, we all have heard at least one story of a married woman sleeping with somebody else and having a child, and having the other guy who she's married to take care of that child.
And they
right?
do so willingly.
They do so. And so the woman knows 100% that's not your child, but she's willing to let you continue to take care of a child, thinking it's your child. She already know that's not your child, right? So just because you feel, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, she should be above it, or that you chose well, doesn't actually mean that you actually did, or that doesn't actually justify or stop somebody else making stupid decisions, even though you did choose well. And I would say it sucks that this has to be a thing, or should be a thing, or a thing people are advocating for, but I think mandatory paternity should be a thing, just so that everybody knows. You know, nobody has to guess, nobody has to wonder, and unfortunately, it's going to make a lot of people pissed off, especially husbands and wives.
So
I don't disagree with that, though. What I'm saying is, if I'm told, let's take mandatory paternity out of it, right? If I'm told after being in a relationship with this woman for a few years, and I personally don't think that, because I don't say feel typically, I personally don't think that I have been cheated, quote unquote, cheated on, because I would have left her if I'd have thought that. Like, that would be the end of the relationship. And I'm under the assumption that the baby is mine. I don't have a reason to actually think it's not until I have a reason to think it's not. Like that's just the way I look at it. And that's the way most men probably do look at it. Now, what I will say, I agree with you. There should be mandatory paternity testing. All births. Period. I agree. I 100% agree with that.
So to go back to what you're saying, and I know in Georgia and many states have followed suit. in order for so before, I don't know when the last time people had kids, you were able to sign like a little affidavit and say, I'm the father, and get your name on the birth certificate. Well, now they moved that out of the hospital. They're saying you have to petition the court to get that to legitimize your kid, right? So now they're moving towards, before you can make it a legitimate situation, you have to get a paternity test, right? The problem is people associate going to court with child support. So they rather just not deal with the court because they feel like if I go to the court and I be petitioning the court, then she gonna put me on child support if I just don't say nothing. The child support, I just rather stay out the court, So if that is your story, that's when you're gonna have to be proactive and just go to a private place and get the swap. Go ahead, Iman.
So to what you were saying, AP, I think there's a lot of men that typically function like that, but as more and more men share their experiences on being conned in that way, there's men who don't have a reason to distrust their wife or girlfriend. But now, like, that seed has been planted. And so you don't have a reason, but it happened to this guy and it happened to this guy. You don't want to be the sucker who another 10 years down the line finds out, right? So there are more and more stories of people who don't have a reason, who are still asking for paternity tests. Unfortunately, those, from the stories I've seen, the women are not as understanding. And so it does risk the relationship, right? A lot of women, because they know they haven't given that man cause, and it does turn out that they are the father, that it damages the trust in the relationship. So I have a lot of empathy for men in that situation, because it's one of those, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the answer to that would be that women be a little bit more compassionate and understand that it has less to do about trusting you and more so about the growing circumstances that exist with men.
Mm-hmm.
Well, false paternities only happen about 11% of the time. And I say only, I'm not trying to minimize that 11%. I'm really not. But 90% of the time, yo ass the daddy. So, like, and I think it's probably been like that forever. Now that we have DNA testing, I mean, we can confirm it. So, yeah, maybe I'm a bit idealistic, and I get it. But why run? I know the answer to the question. I don't see why I would run the risk when I don't have a reason to run the risk of ruining a relationship, of ruining a great relationship, to simply say, hey, baby, we need to get this paternity done. Or I could do it behind her back.
Ask her, yeah.
I mean,
You're the parent too.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm like, hey, we gonna get this paternity test done.
Well, in reality, AP.
Let me tell you this. Look. I had a girlfriend, and she was on an earlier show a long time ago. The girlfriend, her child's father, he had another kid, right? She's so Scorpios. She's like, Shan, that is not his kid, right? He didn't get a paternity. She got a paternity for him. She got a paternity.
Did she tell him? Did she let him know it wasn't his kid?
Oh, happily.
Wow.
Yeah,
I told you that wasn't your kid. You
don't be that man.
Listen,
do not be that man.
Well, he cheated on her with this other chick, right? And so as the woman you're being cheated on, that's just how that goes. Like, that ain't even your kid. Like, it's just, so he was with my girlfriend. He cheated and had this girl got.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so they were having to pick the kid up. She took him back because he's the father. And so one day, that's how my friend had access to the kid, because he brought the kid over. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, this ain't his kid. And she was very strong on it. And so one day she just. And he didn't want to let go. He liked that little side chick, yeah.
All right, the real Pookie with the two. Shout out to Pookie. You gotta survive, Nick. All right, don't hit y'all mans with the Kirk Franklin, Queen. Shout out to Pookie.
I don't get that reference.
Maybe he he might be able to explain
Maybe
it
like
better.
a podcast show that he did, and we just don't know what the comment was.
All right, let me ask y'all this: if y'all sister had a child and you knew your blood sister had a child and you knew that the father of the child who thought it wasn't the actual father, would you let him know?
Ooh.
If I knew, how would I
Yeah,
know?
like she told you like this not his child, but he the best
I would
fit.
talk
So
her into doing what's right. Like, come on, what we doing here?
what if she was like, under no circumstances will I do what's right? He gonna have to eat this. What are you doing?
See, I'm petty. I'm throwing little side stuff when we had to get together. I'm like, man, have you had that baby tested yet? And I would say it for years too.
I'm just glad I don't have family members that roll like this, because this is ethical. This is all about like how you move, your character. Like, come on. Mm-mm.
So Inaz, you telling?
Yep, I'm telling you.
What if your sister disowns you? And you get discarded from the family? That's what you.
So here's the thing, right? Is I don't talk about my family too much, but my sisters are very much the type of people who would tell on me. So it's just a very reciprocal kind of energy, right? But no, honestly, I think that my heart would break for that child, right? Like, these are two grown adults playing really petty games. Whatever her reason, if it's a cheating situation, a get back situation, it really doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, that child deserves to be raised in a way where their heart won't get broken. And you lying to them about who their father is a sure way that, like, they might disown me, but her child's going to disown her when they find out, right? So I'm not too worried about any sort of karma, but I can't. That poor baby.
You know, I saw a situation online, and this was some years ago, and well, not years ago, probably a couple months ago. I'm sure, I don't know how I say years, but I remember, and this is for the married man. There was a situation where a guy, he was married, he had his wife divorced him, right? And when the wife divorced him, she had an affair with somebody at the workplace or somebody, and had a kid by that person who did not want the kid, but the husband took her back along with the kid.
He better than me.